We left for vacation in Spain. The group included my father, mother, brother, sister and a friend of our parents with his little boy. I was 10 years old at the time. It was in the month of August. From the first week of vacation I had very bad pain in the belly. My parents called a doctor who told them that it must be a food intoxication. He prescribed some medicines. Nevertheless, my condition worsened, and a few days later, my parents got another doctor. He who diagnosed an appendicitis. Urgently, I needed to get into a hospital for surgery. He suspected that my condition had turned into peritonitis. There was no ambulance available, so my father and his friend took the car and quickly drove me to the hospital. 1 hour later, in a condition of quasi-unconsciousness, we arrived at the emergency room. We still had more waiting to do. Finally, a long time after, I was taken into a surgery room. I woke up in a room in the intensive care unit, with a young 14-year-old girl nearby who later died during my hospitalization. I was diagnosed with acute peritonitis. Years later, my mother told me that the doctors had been telling them that my condition was very severe and that there was a 1 in 2 chance that I would die. She and my daddy remained at my side, alternately, day and night. They were sleeping on the tiled floor at the side of my bed, so that I wasn't alone. Most probably because they sensed that I would be dying. What nobody knew was that I died, at least for a while. I never told them about my experience, because I was a very introverted little girl. And also because for a long time I believed that it was a dream or a kind of delirium. Due to my condition and the injections that were constantly performed on me. Here is my experience dating back a long time. Suddenly, I saw myself very clearly stretched out on my hospital bed with the sheets on me. My eyes were closed. I saw myself very distinctly. I was outside of my body in the right corner of the ceiling of the room. My bed was at the side of the window. I didn't feel anything and I was indifferent about my body. I saw myself, that's all. After this, I found myself in blackness, in a kind of tunnel without limits. And I advanced toward the tunnel while floating. I felt good, even very good. I was completely alone and all at once in the distance I saw a small white glow. As I advanced, the light became bigger. It was an opaque light, like cotton. Then I felt an immense happiness, a big joy and peace. While I intensely experienced this wonderful plenitude. And as I was still pulled forward towards this light, a voice, thought, or a spirit, maybe my own, I don't know, said to me, "It's not the moment." But I continued advancing and the voice repeated that. "It is not the moment. You still have things to do and to live down there." It then asked me what people I would like to see, as those people would need me and my help. I answered, "I want to see my daddy and my mom." I turned back but was still pulled forward. I felt a slowing, like a hesitation, and suddenly I found myself back in my body. This was very unpleasant, cold, painful, and the smallest noise in the room was infernal. I was very sensitive about it. During the following days, I often looked up toward the right angle of my room. I remember perfectly that this was amusing me to know that I had been up there and that I could see myself. I was waiting for the moment when I would be able to repeat this experience, but it never happened again. This experience was in no way traumatic, quite the contrary. I find that it is a pity that I cannot experience it from time to time. At the time, my father was unfaithful to my mother and it was a disaster for our family. About a decade later, during a conversation with my father, he said to me that it was because of me that he didn't leave the house. I was very surprised. He was amazed that I didn't remember having said to him, when I was close to 12, "Daddy, for sure you wouldn't abandon us, would you?" He admitted that this gave him like an effect of a clash in his head. He then answered me, that he never would leave us. According to my mother, I was always his darling, favorite little girl. Yet for a long time I was angry at him and hardly talked to him for years. Fortunately, I finished being angry and forgave him for everything. I took more than 30 years before I talked about it, not of the OBE, but the tunnel experience. It was while talking about quantum science and energies with a scientific work colleague that I wondered if this experience had an explanation. Then I told her about it and she looked at me saying that I was very lucky experiencing that. She is very Cartesian, but she thinks that there really are things happening at the energetic level. And that one day maybe science could explain it. Now, for the past few years, she is working on this matter. I told this story to this colleague and another colleague, I don't know why, and with my husband. And now I share it with you. That's all. I want to finish saying that I also have no fear of death. Similar to all those persons having also experienced this experience. It's a beautiful gift, isn't it? It would be good to share it with everybody. I want to thank you for taking the time to listen to it.